Hi guys, so today I'm gonna show you how to install your kit on your E-Ride Pro bike. So we're gonna start by removing the mud guard we have here. So first we need to remove this mud guard if you installed it. Okay. Then we need to remove the screws on the other side. I'll remove them here. Okay, now I can remove this. And now we need to remove this chain guard. I need to remove the chain guard. It has several screws. I have already removed them. So basically you need to remove 3 screws, one on this side and 2 on this side. Okay, now we're going to remove the side brackets. On the left side you need to be careful because the pedal sensor, the side stand sensor is there, so you don't snap the cable off. So first we're gonna loosen these screws so we can remove the side bracket. You may wonder why I have very long Allen keys. It's because it's easier to handle more torque, so it's easier to unscrew and screw the bolts. Remove one. Since this bike has the brace installed, we need to remove the side brackets on both sides. Now we're on the other side. Okay, now we removed it. Be careful not to damage the side stand sensor cable, which is there. So I'm gonna remove this brace. Okay, now here's the side stand sensor. So we need to remove this jam nut. You may need to use a wrench. So okay, we can remove it totally. I think that would be easier. So then you need to take the sensor and start unscrewing it, and every 5 turns or so, then you need to release pressure on the cable. Like we can do it on this side. I'm gonna move to the other side. Okay, so now you take the sensor, then you can start unscrewing it. Careful not to snap the cable off. You may need to do this every number of turns so you can release pressure or torsion on the cable. Okay, we see that it's almost off. Okay, now we finally took the sensor off. We can just put it in here and leave it there until we finish. Now we're going to remove the side stand. So For me, the easiest way is to remove this nut. It's a nylock nut, so it needs to be done with a wrench. Okay, afterwards we'll just loosen this screw. Okay, we can do like this and just remove the side stand. Careful not to lose these shims. There are two of them. And then we must remove this pin over here. That's the spring pin. Now we're going to install the side stand on the pedal kit on the left side bracket. So maybe get one of the shims, put it here. You need to check if you need to use one or two or none. I will use, let's see how it goes with one. One works very well. So first we put this screw in. Not too tight, because if you put it too tight, then the side stand will have resistance when you're trying to put it up or down. Yeah, it should move easily. There. Now we use the nut here, the back. Okay, there it goes. Now install this pin. Now we're going to install the side stand spring. It may be the trickiest part. I like putting the side stand down and then making the short hook on the upper part and put it on this way, like this, so I can put this screwdriver here and then start doing some lever. And there we go. Now we have our side stand installed. Now we can install the left side bracket on the bike. We just put one screw here and the other screw here. And if you are using the pedal kit, the basic pedal kit, you can tighten it totally. If you are using the kits that have mechanical gear and chain, then you should not tighten it totally, because later we can use this movement to tighten the chain. But if you're just installing the basic pedal kit, then you can go ahead and tighten it completely. Okay. Now we're going to install the side stand sensor if you want to install it. Actually, I don't like to install it personally, but just in case you want to install it, then you can just put the jam nut here and you can lower the side stand so you can measure where it will touch the side stand there. Okay, and then we can just use one zip tie, put it behind, another zip tie, not tighten it too much, just a little bit until you hear one click. Then you can go like this, have the jam nut sit in the middle between the two zip ties. Sorry. Then put the other one in the back. Okay, make them tight so the side stand sensor will hold. I'm gonna raise this. Then you can just cut the zip ties. You can get a pair of scissors or just use some pliers. Okay, and maybe you'll want to hide this. And there we go. Now we have our left side bracket installed and the side sensor is working. After you install the sensor, the side stand sensor, please remember to get a zip tie to fix the position here for the cable. So we can use a zip tie here. Here to fix the position of the sensor cable. We don't have any issues. Okay. Now we're going to install this spindle. Take the spindle and check this side that has one dimple and put the collar on. Then try to match the screw with the dimple there. Okay, now you can tighten it. Then you need to put this side into the left side bracket. Now we're going to install the left side bracket. Make sure that the crank has an L so that it's the left side bracket, and the pedal also is branded with the L. So now you take both and start putting the pedal in. It's important to have both left sides, otherwise the thread may get stripped. And then we can just put the crank onto the spindle. Then we take our screw here and then we take our Allen key, and start tightening the screw. Since the screw has thread locker, it's a little bit tough. Okay, now it's tightened. perfectly. Okay, now we're going to install the mud guard back on. So you need to check it's on the other side of the swing arm on both sides. Okay. Okay, now make sure you have this guide that carries the rear brake hose. Then we're going to install this screw first. Okay, now the other screw. Okay. Now on the other side, the other two screws. Okay. Now we need to install this protection bracket on this part. So what I recommend is that you remove this collar so it'll be easier to install that part. It's not necessary, but I prefer. So we can take this collar off, take the spindle off the kit. Okay. Now we will install the part. Now if you see this bracket has like this belly should be facing backward. Now install the part here. Now we take the screw, put it on the Allen key, and then have the screw pass through both holes. Okay, there we go. Then we put the Allen key in the screw. Then we take the nut and we start the thread with our fingers. Okay, there we go. Okay, make sure you fix it well. Now we can insert the spindle again. More or less there. We need to fine-tune it afterwards, so we put the collar in. Okay. Okay, now we're going to introduce the freewheel with the freewheel hub. Make sure it's in this position. This will let the freewheel work. Otherwise, if you install it like this, you will have problems. So it must be in this direction. So make sure you have that collar there at the end. You put now this freewheel, the freewheel hub. So now we put in the other collar, and then we take the side bracket, the right side bracket, install it here. Oh. And we just So now we put these screws in, not all the way in, just slightly tighten, because we will need them to adjust the chain afterwards. Now we put the cranks on, the crank on this side, then we take the screw, okay, now we're going to tighten it properly. Okay, so now we need to check that this distance between the crank and the bracket is similar on both sides. So there we go. That's almost the same. I mean, you can measure it, but eye checking can be enough. Okay, so now we need to secure the position of the spindle. So what we need to do is we're gonna fix it with these collars. So now we use this one and tighten it, flush it against the bearing. These have set screws with cup point that bite into the spindle. So tighten it here. Then we come to this side, find the screw, and again flush it against the bearing and tighten it. Okay, there we go. Now we are going to install the chain. Now we are going to install the split sprocket. So we need to loosen these bolts. Remove one screw. Now we remove this one and we put it over the jack shaft. Okay, now we need to put the two halves there. So we can fix this sprocket just by using one screw. Okay. Now make sure this top screw is not tightened or it will interfere. So again, we just have one screw. Make sure you check that this sprocket is aligned with the freewheel below. It doesn't have to be completely aligned. We're gonna do that afterwards, but check that the chain will go through the middle of the suspension hole. Okay, so now we can tighten this screw. Okay, and then we can just spin the rear wheel a little bit, and then we can have this hole now and tighten this other screw. Now you can find a position that can let you tighten the screw. For example, here. There we go. Now it's completely tightened. Okay, now the other side. Okay, and just for caution, you can adjust this one, but it's not totally necessary. Okay, now we're going to install the chain. We need to open the chain. So here is the master link. Then you can get the plier, one tip here on this pin, and then the other tip on the tip of the pin. Okay, now it's off. Then we take this part off, then this one, then this one, and now we have an open chain. Okay, now we're going to put the chain on. You can just drop it on top of the split sprocket. Make sure it's well aligned into the teeth. And now we come here and we take our freewheel here into the center. We pass, let me show you better here. Now we pass the chain here through the top in the hole, and then you can just turn the wheel until it's on the freewheel. I dropped a roller of the chain, so I'm gonna fix it here. Gonna put it here. Okay, I have it there. Then we take the other end of the chain, and we can install the chain here. Now I put the link there. I put this little part. Okay, now we're going to install the pin, and the pin should always be facing downwards. The pin should always be facing downwards, since the open side of the pin should be in the opposite side of the movement. So here, I'll move the cell phone a little bit backwards. Here, and there we go. Now we have a closed chain there. Now we need to align this sprocket. Sorry, we need to align the chain with the split sprocket and the freewheel. Later on, we need to find the flat spot, which is over there, which is right here. I can see it there. So we can just move this a little bit backwards, like there, and slightly tighten down the split sprocket, the freewheel hub, sorry. Slightly, very slightly. Okay, there, we will not go out of the split sprocket, of the flat spot, sorry, there. Okay, so now I slightly tighten both brackets just to be able to pedal and check that the chain is not hitting this part anywhere, and then we can now can move in this direction. It's not hitting anywhere. So now you turn on the bike and then you start accelerating slowly. Okay, there you see nothing's hitting. Then we need to make sure it's well aligned. So what we do is, it's a little bit loose. I mean, it will not go out of the flat spot. So we just tighten the screw until it will block, but I mean, it will not go out of the flat spot, but you can still move it. And then we start accelerating until we go to full speed. Now it's well aligned. Once we've done this, then we need to tighten the screws and fix this position permanently. So now we take the Allen key and we start tightening there until we fix the position, and we have both screws tightened. There we go. Okay, there it is. Now we need to tighten the chain, not too tighten, because we want the chain to have slack so it can be used without touching anything. Notice that when you use the pedals to pedal, I mean when you are actually propelling the bike with the pedals, the chain will tension on this side, and therefore it will touch this protection bracket we installed. That's what it's for. So it will only touch that bracket when you pedal, when you proper the bike by pedaling. So it's not very often, and it's made of a hardened steel that can withstand the rub from the chain. Okay, now you can play with the chain tension when you have four of these screws loosened on both sides. I mean, these screws, the two on the brackets, the two on each side. So you can play with this, but in my case right now, just where it sits naturally seems a good tension, because chain is not touching anything and it's aligned. So I will just tighten these screws. Make sure you tighten these at 22 Newton meter. Okay, now we're finished installing the pedal kit, the mechanical pedal kit. And here, if you pedal, then you can see the bike moving. And if you accelerate, then you can see the freewheel working, that the pedals are still. And we're finished. Have fun.